after another humiliating offensive performance, Joe John Finley is now the offensive coordinator, and Seth Littrell is out. Welcome to the Schooner Pod. I'm Bobby Howard. With me today, we've got Jamison Maxwell, and this will kind of be mostly reaction. We'll end up talking about the game, that disaster of a game, but Jamison, so Seth Littrell out. This is something we've kind of expected, I feel like, at some point, but I mean, it's one of those things. I don't know if we expected it to happen in season, but I think after yesterday's result, it had to happen now.
Yeah, we're just in a bad position, Bobby. We're trying to find answers. We're trying to find the right thing to do. Reality of it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. This team's horrible. This offense is pitiful. No matter what we do, we fire them in the offseason. We fire them in the middle of the season. It doesn't matter for the game of football. The product that they're going to put out there, it's a lost cause. So if the fans think that they want, a new offensive coordinator in the middle of the season, give the fans what they want.
And here's the thing, too, is I don't think this actually helps this team much at all. Like,
no,
you just replacing one problem with another one.
Joe John Finley, congratulations! Like, oh, I don't want this. Don't give me this.
I mean, that's the thing, is it's one of those. Oh well, sure, you got Joe John or Seth Littrell out, but now you got probably one of the worst, from what I could tell, one of the worst guys on staff now calling the plays. Has Joe John ever been a play caller? Like, has he called plays in his career in the past? I don't remember. I don't recall.
I doubt it, because I know he's just been moving up the ranks and he's like a little bit on the younger end. I strongly doubt that he's been a play caller. And what do you expect from him, Bobby? Do you think he's going to give the tight ends a little bit more run? How about you put Bauer Sharp on the edge and have him block one of the best defensive ends in the country right at the beginning of the first quarter, causing turnover? How about that? That's a really good idea. How about we continue to do that stupid stuff? Trust the tight ends, Joe John. I don't know. This is just a disaster, Bobby. We're lucky if we get a second win this season, but just prepare for no bowl.
Yeah, I mean, it would be a miracle to get that sixth win. That's the thing. You're going to beat Maine. And I just don't know where that win comes. This offense is putrid. It is a absolute disaster. Like you said, the Bauer Sharp blocking, like that is something like everyone, like obviously the geniuses at Oklahoma Breakdown, they knew it was a bad idea. I knew it as a bad idea because they cannot block. So why the hell are they out there? I don't know. This is one of the most frustrating, upsetting football seasons that I've ever seen as an OU fan. Granted, you and I have both lived a charmed existence as OU fans. We were born in the 90s, essentially skipped all of that, and then went straight to the Stoops era. So yeah, we haven't seen bad times. Most OU fans have not seen like this bad of times. This is atrocious. The three turnovers effectively ending the game after 4 minutes. It's insulting to all of us who, really just who give a damn about the team that it got this bad. It's a miracle that it got this bad. A disastrous, horrible miracle.
Yeah, and you're like saying, oh, Michael Hawkins at least gives us something because he doesn't turn the ball over, and Jackson Arnold makes bad decisions. So if he can just keep the ball in his hands, maybe we might get a really scrappy defensive win. Well, golly, Bobby, that notion is out the door. And I will say this about Michael Hawkins. Those turnovers, yes, there were some bad decisions on his end. But at the same time, the offensive line was not giving him any kind of help. We knew South Carolina has one of the best front sevens defensive lines in the country, and they got some really good talent on the edge. So they're going to give most teams in the country, if not all teams in the country, fits. But man, did they make our offensive tackles look like just silly. Like Jacob Sexton at left tackle. Oh my God. I applaud y'all for trying that Bill Beatenbow, but he ain't it. He ain't it. That dude looked like he's confused out there. That guy does not have it. And then I'll save this for later. Actually, I want to talk about this, Bobby. You know, one thing that's really pissing me off about this offense, and it kind of is a big trend, almost for the season, is why are we so quick to bench people? Why are we so quick? Jacob Sexton is doing poor. You send out Michael Tarquin's sorry ass. What are you going to expect? Something different?
I mean, I it's pretty bad. It shows that you don't have faith in your guys, that they can't work through mistakes. But also, like, that's kind of the thing when you call for someone's head is, you know, what do you got coming in behind them? And I don't think you have that, obviously, with the offensive staff. That's a problem we're going to see here, because I don't think Joe John is going to do much there. And it's a case when you have guys on the field. At this point, you really have to think, why not give some of the young guys burn? Like, they're not ready.
And if they
Sure.
go out there and they make a mistake, Bobby, how about you just keep them in and just let it happen? Because it doesn't even matter anymore, right? So I'm tired of this quick benching stuff. It gets what completely derailed our season with Jackson Arnold, in my opinion. And secondly, you know, these offensive line, they probably have no, confidence anymore. And that's just going to compartmentalize and make things even worse.
Yeah. I mean, I get that it just causes you to spiral is what it does. And, I mean, it's really just one of those things that, and I think the problem is deeper than the quarterbacks, of course, when it comes to Arnold or Hawkins. It's hard to not pull a guy after three turnovers, which is why you pull Hawkins after his 3. It's why you consider pulling Arnold after his 3. But overall, you just got to let it ride at this point. You got to find your best guys. And when you're playing scared, when you're playing like, constantly afraid to not screw up, you can't play to your best potential. And that's probably a part of it. But I think the bigger part of it is the personnel just stinks.
Yep. We don't have a lot of people on our offense that I can put my finger down. Actually, no one healthy right now that I can say, you know what? Actually, Taylor Tatum. That's about it. Other than that, it's like, I really feel good about your future. I feel good that there's something going here. I don't feel that about anything. And that's a shame. Is that a figment of our recruiting? Could be a little bit. Could be we just got, bad hand. And sometimes we thought these guys were going to develop into something and they didn't. That could be. Or it could be just poor development overall, which I think is a large portion of it. And we got to start pointing the fingers at people that probably haven't been pointed to that seriously for a long time. Bill Beatenbow. I think that is a huge conversation moving into the offseason. People think that he's solidified in this because he's so seasoned, but we've had that problem before, Bobby, where these guys have been on staff for a long time and you feel like you can't make that decision. Bill Beatenbow, I'm telling you, I think his time's calling.
I don't think there can be any sacred cows in all of this. You have to look at everything. And, Beatenbow, obviously a great run at everything, but when you talk about guys like, the people who are having issues, Jacob Sexton, stuff like that, those are his guys. Those are guys that are failing to develop. It's incredibly frustrating that, you're getting good recruits. Yeah, great recruiting class, but what are you going to do with them? You have to be able to actually develop them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think he's developed anyone in a while. It has been pitiful recently. And, maybe it's just time. Time comes for everybody. So I think you have to look into it.
Yeah. And what scares me, Bobby, is we continue to talk about, what could happen in the future, because that's really the only pertinent thing we can talk about right now, because the rest of the season is just mud. If we were to consider getting rid of Beatenbow, Fasusi and Fudge, do we lose those guys? There is a big rumor, that Fasusi could possibly go to the Texas game this weekend, and everyone was freaking out about it. It doesn't look like he went, but still, just the thought that that's there, he's wavering on his commitment. If you even think about it with Brent Venables and his recruiting system, and you're cheating on Brent Venables, you're not a recruit that's committed to this team. So if he's considering it right now, is he even a commit on this Oklahoma football team? maybe to Fasusi, he still believes it to be so. But at the same time, if a guy's looking elsewhere, that still scares the living shit out of me.
Yeah, I mean, it should. It should, because that's like the one saving grace of this, situation, and of Bill Bedenbaugh right now, is that the class is good. And if you lose Fasusi, and you lose these guys that are the silver lining in the future, you're screwed. Because we could talk about the portal, whatever. That's not a surefire lock. We whiffed on the portal this year.
And not tackles don't come in the portal, Bobby.
No.
If you get maybe one or two competent ones, and then Lance Hurd is like the one the Tennessee pays them a mother load. Like if they come in, you're gonna have to pay up big time, and it's even a rarity if they're gonna even be there to begin with.
Yeah, and even then, he's a weak spot of that Tennessee line too, which is you develop them, you get them in recruiting, and you just I don't know. It's really tricky because I don't know if it's worth it to miss out on an OC because he wants to bring his staff, his guys, and you tell him you can't do it because we have Bill Bedenbaugh and we have this good recruiting class, and it's not worth it. What's 100% worth it is figuring out an offensive coordinator and an offense that works. And I don't know who that is. Jamison, obviously we're not going to get it this year. Do we want to talk about the future? Are there any guys that you like?
I to be honest with you, Brent Venables, and we kind of already said this, said, oh, we're not going to make some kind of middle of the season move. And that dude is just word salad, doesn't even know what he's saying half the time. So don't believe anything that comes out of Brent Venables' mouth. Of course, there's going to be a move in the middle of the season right after he says it doesn't. So I wasn't really like looking too heavily into it. But I mean, I don't have any sources. I haven't read any material of guys that they're interested in. I think really we just might need to put our head down and just kind of see what happens and what the rest of the season, like, is Boise State's offensive coordinator young? Like, is he somebody that we could be interested in? Just like look at these like mid-major teams that have like a good offense and just see if they've got something that these defenses can't scheme against and just take them. Like I want to do what Penn State did with Kansas, like with Colton Nicky. Like I want that style.
Right. No love for the go-go. Brennan Marion out of UNLV, 37 years old,
too.
Like that could be a pretty good option. It is different, like very, very different. I mean, not too different. It still involves speed, throwing the ball, a little bit more running, for an acceptable running quarterback. You kind of look at like what Jackson Arnold can do. It feels like a decent fit there. I don't know. I feel like
that's a really good one, Bobby. And that's like a team that we've kind of had a close eye on too, this year, and just how honestly surprising their offense has been whenever they lose the guys that they did last year. So I mean that's a great option. Didn't tell me if I'm wrong. Is there some kind of Oklahoma connection there?
He played at Tulsa.
That's right. So some kind of Oklahoma nativity to him. But I mean, here's the thing, Bobby. No matter who it is next year, you're gonna have to pay him a lot of money, and you're already paying a significant buyout right now. So the money is gonna dry up. And things are going to get a little bit scary. Is that going to impact the NIL and how much money that our donors can give to people in the portal? Does this guy from UNLV, Bobby, even want to come to this system? A team that looks like, if they end the season 5-7, which is probably most likely more than not, is that a system you want to go to? Would you rather go somewhere else? Would you rather go to a team on the up and up who just got their OC poached away from them because they were doing well, and go somewhere with better momentum? Because what happens, Bobby, if we go next season, this new OC comes in and we continue to do poorly because we do not have the talent, the players to do well, which we think is a significant portion of why we're doing poorly, and Brent Venables gets fired, then what happens? He could be gone again, and then he's back to square one.
Right. And I mean, it would be a risk for anyone to join onto this, but I feel like that's one reason why that extension, extending Brent Venables really does give some security overall to Brent Venables. I mean, not total security, because if we have this again, if he whiffs on the next OC hire, then yeah, you get rid of him. But I feel like it's clear that they're still invested in Venables. They're not ready to cut ties just yet. I think you have a couple more years, but you got to get it right.
Couple.
You got to get
I
it
don't
right.
know. I'm gonna tell you something, Bobby. I was trying to put on the crimson colored shades last year whenever we heard all these things about Brent Venables not getting the locker room speeches, to hit to the players. His press conferences taking too long, him showing up late, seeming like he can't lead the team. He's just a glorified DC with the HC in front of his name. All of these things we continue to hear. And then we go out and we do poor this season. I'm gonna be honest, I'm not a hater, but I'm a questioner, a big, big questioner of Brent Venables, because if he can't lead well and he can't scheme well, because he said it, he's been putting a large part of his effort into the offensive end, running the scout teams and trying to fix things, and things are not being successful. If he can't get the players all together during this time and there's no respect in that room, I'd have a short leash on Brent Venables next year.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, I think we're going to find out a lot more as this season progresses about, how bought in are these players. And I think you're really going to see it with, are there any portal exits? Are you able to keep
There's
the
going to
class
be a
together?
lot of portal exits.
If there are, then yeah, that's a really bad sign. And that's probably a sign that this isn't working, because when your whole thing is this, relational, not transactional situation, you got to be damn good. You can't do that garbage and not be good. And the second you lose that trust between yourself and the players, you lose like that. Then you don't even have that, so yeah, I'm just saying, I think it's a situation that, this thing is on the verge of, it is a disaster. It is like the football team is truly, in shambles. It's interesting to see. We'll see how the rest of the season plays out, see if the program itself hits rock bottom. Because if you whiff on Venables, it's the start of a dark age. If you cannot make this work, then you're like, everything goes to hell, and it can get worse. I know this sounds crazy, but it can get worse. So I don't know if he's the guy. I desperately want him to be, because if not, this thing's gonna be pretty tough.
Yeah, I'm hoping like he's been learning and he's been getting better. And obviously he's made a cognizant effort to like fix his deficiencies in terms of focusing too much on the defense. Hopefully, I've heard that he's gotten better with his speeches, but still, like you can see it in his post-game press conferences and interviews. The dude he's very long-winded, and it's very hard to get a hold of these players. Whenever things aren't going well, it takes a special person to bring a group of people, a young group of people together and fight for a common cause. Is he going to be the guy that's going to do that? Are we going to see some fight in this team? Because these past couple games, there's been some unfortunate scenarios, but you've seen a little bit of fight here and there. Whenever it gets tough, Ole Miss on the road next week, Alabama at home, LSU on the road. Are you going to see a fight in that team, or are they going to give up? And that's going to tell me a lot about Brent Venables and what this team thinks of him.
Yeah, because I mean, this is I almost said that this is a situation that could spiral, but it is a spiral. This is a disaster. Getting blanked like that, in Norman, just embarrassed on homecoming, is quite possibly, like that was a game we talked about. Oh, you had to have, and to start out that way, there's, with the fans being as frustrated as they are, with the boo birds now.
How loud were those boos, like in person, Bobby? Were they loud, or was it like, just a little bit of the stadium doing it?
I mean, it was moderate. It wasn't as loud as I wouldn't say it was as loud as let's say
Spencer Rattler.
No, it was actually probably about Radlery. It wasn't Mike Stoops, versus Baylor in 2015. That was the loudest boo. It was pretty high though. This was probably second. Probably like second.
Jeez, that's just not good. And It's just like talking about that game and the way that things started. Just go ahead,
So,
Bobby. Apologize to me about my opinions of Michael Hawkins and Jackson Arnold.
uh, so here's the thing: Hawkins did look obviously awful, but it was uncharacteristically awful. And I will say, I I think you were right. You know, we were too harsh on you for bringing up the idea of bringing back Jackson Arnold, who was not like he wasn't bad. He had his moments. He was clearly a better option
He
than
at least
Michael
could
Hawkins.
throw the ball down
He
the
was.
field and finally get Brendan
Yeah,
Thompson a deep touchdown, which has been a long time coming this whole season. If you look on the tape, like he's been there about 6-7 times.
yeah. No, you're right. You were right. Yeah, he gave us a better chance to win. I think you were dead right, and I think you have to stick with him going forward. I know
Yeah.
Gabe and I don't want to keep referring to Oklahoma Breakdown, but like like they weren't very. They were like, oh, I don't know who you stick with. It's Jackson Arnold. It's clearly Jackson Arnold.
I haven't
Man.
listened
Like,
to their most recent
yeah,
pod. They're questioning it because that's
they're like oh, let's see who has the best week of practice and send them out. And it's just like I don't think that's the answer.
Flip-flopping so much. I am so tired. I am so tired of flip-flopping. That's the same thing when we were talking about Bill Beatenbow earlier. Pick a freaking left tackle and stick with it. Stop taking these people out. We've cut Sexton and Tarquin's confidence so much that I'm at this point, I don't care if Logan Howland's look bad. You just put him in there and deal with it. Like, same thing goes with quarterback. Stop flip-flopping. Us having a quick trigger and not really knowing what to do in the situation in the Tennessee game and obviously I feel like we'd be in a similar situation if Jackson would have stayed in. We would have still probably shut the bed versus Texas and looked really bad in the sequelae of the Tennessee game. But stop making these knee-jerk reactions. Young people can make mistakes. People in a bad offense with a bad support system can make mistakes. Normalize mistakes and coach it. Stop saying, oh, we need to switch them out and change things because it's not working. I'm tired of it. So if you think we're going to not send out Jackson Arnold and keep him in, if we bench him for the rest of the season, I don't know, Bobby. You're going to have a problem. You're going to have to hold me back on this podcast.
Well, especially after his red shirt got burned. You know, like
so sick and tired of it. You say thank you, Jackson. I'm so happy that you came back and you decided between you and your family, your agent, that you decided that you would want to go in and burn your red shirt and play for the Oklahoma Sooners. You say thank you so much. It is okay to make mistakes, and we made one, and you give us a better chance, like you said, Bobby, to win football games. And even that's going to be tough. It's going to be tough for the rest of the season to win football games. But you are the guy that we feel like will give us the best chance.
Yeah. And I mean, the issues, again, quarterbacking is not great. Don't get me wrong. I'm more concerned about the O-line. I'm more concerned about the wide receiver room, which is, unpreventable and unfortunate. We'll talk a little bit about that later, about some of the guys about that situation. That's pretty interesting. But yeah, I don't know. I think you gotta ride with Arnold. You gotta see if you can salvage this and just keep it going, because I think that gives you your best path forward, not only for this year, but the future. Because if you do shore it up, I think he can be a better quarterback than he is, for sure, than we've seen. He got sacked 9 freaking times, Jamison. 9 sacks. Not him. More Hawkins.
There were a couple of times where it was like, okay, he could have, gotten rid of the ball. There were sometimes you blinked 1 second, 2 seconds, and it was like the immediate tackle got burned, edge guy got him. Or the guard didn't block the right person, someone comes through the middle. What was Tonka? Tonka was just having a day with us. Like it was so bad. And this offensive line, and we said continuity would be a thing that we'd feel really good about moving forward in the future. But if you're going to continue to bench these guys and shift all throughout the game, you don't have that talent, Beatenbow, to do that. You don't have the talent. Just pick a group right now and just move forward. I'm also saying that, Bobby. I'm down to never see Michael Tarquin out on the field again. I do not care if people think that he's been the best offensive line for this team. I don't see it. Not anymore. I think he did okay at the beginning, but he is just his average has turned to poor. Let's just put it like that. If we want to move on from Sexton and encourage him to go in the portal, I'm not mad about that either. Screw it. Let's go Howland, Ozida, And then Everett. Screw, we don't have anyone else at right guard. I mean, do you want to put Eddie Pierre-Louis out there at right guard? He hasn't been playing at all this season. It's probably going to still be Wee Woo. And then I like Jake Taylor. I feel bad for him being hurt. But I'm down to just keep those 5 guys and just never look back.
Yep. Nope. I'm fine with that. And if you rotate anyone in, it's some young guys. But
yeah, and it's like give them like
EPL
5 or
needs to
10
play.
snaps. Yeah.
Yeah. Just this needs to be about development the rest of the way. Whatever you can do to salvage this, you got to do it. So let's we got a couple questions on our YouTube. Go ahead, Jamison.
Okay, but I really want to make sure we talk about the wide receiver room before the end of this podcast because I have a point that's going to really make me mad. But yes, let's talk about questions.
Yeah, we'll keep talking about the game as a whole, but couple folks, how K-Bear 2010. We kind of addressed this earlier a little bit. How do y'all think the offense will do with the change?
Doesn't matter.
I know it doesn't matter, and I sort of agree. One element we haven't talked about is Kevin Johns, the offensive analyst, who I believe during the game ended up going down onto the field and working with quarterbacks.
Yeah, because they sent Joe John back up into the upper deck, into the press.
What a disaster, man. What a disaster that you can't you have to shift your damn coaches from up to down, what are we doing? Not just a total lack of a plan, a total lack of just sticking with anything. And I get that it wasn't working, but if it's that much of a disaster, I don't know. Anyways, Kevin John's going to have a lot bigger role in this offense, as reported by Pete Thamel, some other folks. Do you think Johns is going to have any sort of an impact? He was Duke's OC last year. He had a stop here at Memphis. He was part of Cliff Kingsbury's Texas Tech tenure. Does this do anything for you with Kevin Johns?
Not at this point. You've given him a broken ship and you expect him to sail.
Right.
Maybe if you put him in the off season and we tried him instead of Finley, okay, maybe you can start giving me some optimism. This is a broken ship. We're just going to have to find ways to get it to move, but it ain't going to sail.
And I do like the idea of having a QB coach just to help navigate through things.
Oh. Mm-hmm. I agree with that too, Bobby, because that was a big thing we talked about last week.
Yeah. Just having an actual quarterbacks coach is going to help, I think. Yeah.
Especially for how much turmoil has gone through that room. And there's a clear problem with confidence that having someone to be in your ear and talking through things with you on the sideline is going to be beneficial. So I like that. In terms of big picture, I mean, what this scheme is going to look like, is it going to look more like last year's team, Bobby, in terms of the offense? Are we going to spread it out a little bit more? Short passes, things that are very easily identifiable, the same kind of thing over and over, but it works. I'm hoping so, but at this point, I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think you can change the whole offensive scheme in an offseason. So whenever people say, oh, it's Joe John's offense, it's going to look different. There's going to be minor little things here and there, but unless you nitpick it, it's probably not going to look too different.
Yeah, no, I mean, it probably isn't. I do agree with you on that one. I think whoever you get needs to, have his own. You just have full control over it. We don't need a situation. I don't know. We just don't need a situation where we're just trying to carry over whatever the hell this is, scrap it all, reset. And people in a couple people in the comments bringing up Cale Gundy. It's no, not.
Yeah, I just responded. I don't think OU would want it, and I don't think Cale would want it. I mean, even if he has this inkling in him, deep down in him that he'd want to, I don't know if this would be the right time to, because he still has a good opinion from the OU fans of who he is and what he's done for OU. You can spoil your legacy real quick with this team.
Yeah, it's a bad idea. All right, let's get back a little bit more towards the South Carolina game. The wild thing offensively is they actually outgained South Carolina, and this is why I say team offense is very overrated, because that does not paint a picture of how this game went. the offense was bad. Yeah, but I think there was I will say bright spot for sure. Jacob Jordan, the preferred walk on out of South Lake, I think South Lake Carroll,
Yeah.
maybe just South Lake. What a performance from the guy. 6 receptions, 86 yards out of nowhere. I've never even heard of the guy. I'm not gonna lie.
No idea.
Um,
No idea who
but
he is. I saw
hell of a
88 come out
performance.
there, and I'm squinting, Bobby. I'm like, all right, we've been putting in a lot of numbers. I don't know. Who is this? And they're like, Jacob Jordan. I'm like, don't know
Have you
that
seen
one.
this man's headshot? Have you seen this man's
No.
headshot?
No, I will look
Oh
it up.
man, I'm gonna just go ahead and present it, just so
See
you
a
know.
dude? Oh my god, this dude is just like proto. Oh my god, he's so young. Look at him. Oh my god,
Look at the baby face, man.
dude, good for him. Good for
Yeah,
him.
look at that
That dude
guy.
looks like a prototypical high schooler. Oh
Uh,
my
are we
god.
sure he's not just like some guy, like a high schooler that legitimately just was pulled from, you
Well,
know?
I mean, he's legitimately a year out of it. I'm not. So this picture was taken
Yeah,
whenever he essentially was a high schooler too. So
yeah,
I'm not. Oh my god, this is just wild. I mean, like, good for him. I am so proud
yeah.
of him for coming in and actually showing something. And maybe it's just a trend, Bobby, of like these new people come in and always the new face is the one that does well. Because I've noticed that if someone comes in, you've never seen them before, they typically do well. You know. And then let's see if he continues to do well for the rest of the game. Because at the wide receiver position, still not having Deion Burks. Let me tell you something. I got pissed in the pregame, Bobby. I know that he's like, 80% or whatever, and he was a question when he might not be ready to play. Soft tissue stuff. Get it. Soft tissue stuff's hard. But I almost cussed. When this dude is doing his little dances on the field in the pregame and he's not going to play, he's just doing his little fun little dance and having a good time. That pissed me off. That really pissed me off. I'm not going to tell a kid that he can't go out there and have fun, but I would, if I was out there and I knew I wasn't going to be playing, I'd be like pissed. I'd be like, I want to be out there. We know that Burks is a competitor. What the hell is going on? Why is he doing his little fun little dancing on the sideline? That pissed me off.
Well, what gets me is this is the pretty much the same thing as that Dylan Gabriel thing a couple years ago in the Cotton Bowl, where suits up, go through it, act like he's going to play, and then surprise you. No, like what I don't know what that does for you advantage wise at all. It doesn't. It's just annoying. It just pisses the fans off.
I mean, could it be a true game time decision where they don't know if he's actually going to be good to go? Sure. You don't want to play a guy in a situation where he could re-hurt himself like Nick Anderson did. Come back too early, even if they are 80%. But if they go out there and they feel a little bit tight still and they feel like that they could hurt it further, I get it. But, oh my God. I don't know the chronological order of if he still thought he could play by the time whenever he was doing his little dances on the sideline during the pregame warmups. But if he knew already by that time, Bobby, that he wasn't playing, God, I'm trying not to come after a kid for dancing because like legitimately that is so stupid. But still, it doesn't take much to piss me off right now about this offense. And it really does make me start to think that the legitimacy of him worrying that he's a possible quitter this season is something that is real.
Yeah, I don't know. I'm sure he was just keeping it light. It's nothing.
And he's a goofball. He's like a high energy guy that we all loved, right? Like, the way that he was doing his little videos in the preseason and like he had a personality and is like, oh, we're going to love this guy. That could just be his personality. But at the same time, it just really pissed me off.
Well, hopefully the Sooners can get him back. Sorely missed, for sure. But
maybe he's like Jackson Arnold's playing now. I could actually go out there and catch a pass or two because I ain't going to catch anything from Hawkins out there. So,
yeah, I mean, that could certainly, that could be it. You never know. But
yeah. What do you think about the running game, Bobby? Because I thought that the run game looked pretty decent. I was kind of happy with it. I feel like Javonte Barnes continues to run hard. He was hitting some holes. He was open some things. We had a couple of, possessions where we started second and long after a tough run. But for the most part, I feel like I was pretty happy. Taylor Tatum had a couple of good runs. Still no big breakout runs where it's like, oh, the run game's really carrying us here. But they were chipping away nicely.
Yeah, no, I thought Barnes was pretty good. I know he's not who we want out there. Like if we had to pick, a prototypical back, he's not he's really kind of making chicken salad out of chicken something else. But I think the hard running is really beneficial for what we have right now, for what the line is, for what the situation is. He's not the running back he's not the running back we deserve, but he's the one we need right now. And I think that's the biggest thing. And I don't want to bring up guys who aren't on the team anymore, but thinking about that philosophy makes me really miss Tawi Walker. That was the Tawi Walker not getting a scholarship might, in my opinion, be like the thing that, if you ask me, makes DeMarco like, get him out of here. Like how do you?
That's so minute too.
I know that's super minute, but it to me, like, how did you whiff on that?
If we're gonna get rid of Beatonbow and DeMarco, it's at the point where we're just gonna clean house. Except for, Emmett Jones, you keep Emmett and just clean house. Golly,
total reset. I'm fine with it. I'm fine with it, man.
Money. These boosters are gonna need to bring out their paychecks. Checkbooks. Finally,
yeah. But that's what you need to do. That's what you need to do if you want to win in the SEC. This is winning is expensive. And if you want this to keep going, if you want to be the worst offense in the SEC, if you want to be the laughing stock of the conference, then don't pay up. Keep this up. That's what everything everybody is saying about Oklahoma, that they're going to be the new Nebraska. They're going to be blah, blah, blah. Like,
I'm starting to believe it.
I don't think it's because of the SEC, and I don't think it's because of the move or anything like that. I still think, we're recruiting at a high clip. It's not the same way as like the Nebraska stuff. It's just quite possibly it's just mismanagement.
It's not we're not going to be Nebraska, but there's still something down deep that I am nervous about. Like, it's still like, now, like, things are so bad that I know, like, use your logic, Jamison. We're not going to be Nebraska. Like, we have too much money, good support, pipelines are better with recruiting. This isn't going to happen. But then there's something like, you know what? This could be bad. And we always in sports want to compare someone or something to something else that we know that's familiar. Every new guy who comes into the NFL, NBA, we try to compare them to somebody else. But in actuality, this Oklahoma situation going to the SEC is not the same as Nebraska and their collapse. But even though it's not a Nebraska collapse, it is still a collapse of something that needs to be taken very seriously. And we shouldn't hang our hats on, oh, we're not Nebraska. We still got things behind us that can still keep us from getting there. But just because we're not that doesn't mean that's going to be bad.
Yeah. And I think your deepest, darkest fears about OU football and what this program is that it's going to be set back in the era of NIL and the portal because we hired a guy who doesn't get it, who is incompatible with this new reality. Because you don't want to get left behind. And good news, you can recover pretty quick if you really think about it. Like, look at Indiana and what Kurt Signetti has done. Granted, they've beaten some bad teams, but I feel like the ability to flip a team around, you can do it. It can happen, but it just takes the right guy. It takes a lot of luck, hitting on your transfers, hitting on your recruiting, having consistency, or like finding a way to, like, that's the thing. It's it's easy to flip, but the real good programs that that have had success are the ones that are consistent, that keep guys in. And if the Venables philosophy, if it truly is relational and that truly like wins people over and they can stick with it and weather the storm, that'll be great. But I don't know. We'll see. I don't know. I'm losing faith a little here, Jamison.
I think a lot of us are. And here I am talking about Oklahoma football. And whenever I don't have a lot of faith, it's a shame. It feels weird, but we just got to hope that we see some optimism, something that we can get behind with this offense. Because if we don't, it's going to be a bad offseason. We're going to see people decommit. There's going to be people decommit. Straight up, there's going to be people. Like, this isn't the offense side of the ball, but Cortland Guillory was out visiting, I think, Texas this weekend. So, like, is he a decommit at this point in the eyes of Brent Venables? Yes. So I think we're going to see a lot of bad things, but if we can find one thing during the season where we can be like, yes, now that's what we needed. Maybe this season was really bad and we had a lot of things going against us, but at least we can hang our hat on that. And there might be a chance that we could do better next year. I don't have anything yet. There's nothing that I have to hang my hat on, Bobby. We need to find that in the next 4 games.
Yeah. You know what would make me feel better? Does Ricky White have any eligibility left?
No, he's a redshirt senior. It's a redshirt senior. Yep, I know. He's gone. Yeah, that dude's good, and he blocked 3 punts this year so far.
Yeah,
this is UNLV's wide receiver. He's an absolute baller, really damn good.
Yeah, he has more punt blocks than any other team in college football right now. Actually, just by himself. So that's pretty awesome. Anyways, it's going to be a really brutal run down the stretch because you're out of, I don't want to say gimmies because there are no gimmies, but you're out of games that are, OU's not going to be favored the rest of the way outside of Maine. They probably won't even offer a line for that. It's going to be a brutal watch. And for me, what I want going forward, if you can somehow, 1, make a bowl, and 2, just give us hope for either the future or whatever. That's what we're playing for at this point. And it sucks that we're at that point.
We need an upset. We need an upset or a near upset, Bobby. We need it really bad. And the candidate for that, I mean, I guess I said 4 games. We have 5 games. I wasn't counting Maine in my head, but Missouri on the road would probably be your best bet at this point.
Yeah, Missouri on the road, Alabama at home.
I don't know. I don't know about Alabama.
I mean, look still. Again. They're upsets for a reason, Jamison. South
Carolina proved to us that it doesn't matter about home and away. It just matters if our players are going to go out and just show something.
Yeah, it makes it easier than not, but yeah, it's going to be really bad.
If you had to set a line, if you were DraftKings, FanDuel, name here, of the line versus Maine, what would you set it at?
I think it's probably Oklahoma minus 21.
Oh, no.
How do you judge the Maine Black Bears, Jamison? I don't know.
I don't know, but 21 versus Maine is just so embarrassing. Honestly,
Maine beat Villanova. It was a good win.
I know, but what I'm trying to get at, Bobby, is I don't know either. I have no idea. Do I believe this offense is capable of even putting enough points to cover a spread? I don't know. I would hope we'd be able to cover the 21. I probably would bet that. I'd probably bet it until 24.5. But yeah, I don't know, Bobby. That it's weird to think about that because we know that we're such a significant better team than them, but we just don't put up points. It's bad.
Yeah. It is. Just a bad day. Bad day for the offense, all things considered. Hard to find anything to fix. Someone asked if you take back Lincoln Riley as offensive coordinator at this point, to which I would say, yeah. I mean, of course, because I think as an OC, he's obviously pretty good, but
I don't know, Bobby.
That would never happen. That would also never happen.
I don't know, Bobby. You talk about someone who can't take accountability as a person. My God.
Imagine
the culture, man. That could just be the culture that would take us out.
Imagine this game, but at the end of it, your offensive coordinator tells you that you're actually pretty close.
We got Jackson back. Things are looking better. We just get Deion Burks and, Jalil Farouk's getting out of his boot any minute now. We're pretty close, guys. We could be a team that could be a 7, 8, 9 win team.
Well, if you take out the 21 points off turnovers and then the turnover on downs, that's
You're exactly right.
You're cooking with gas, Jamison.
You're exactly right.
It's almost a win.
I know the way that defense played, aside from giving short fields, man, they still look like they have it. And, Jackson Arnold, he hit that deep ball to Brennan Thompson. You imagine that every game.
Yeah, we just needed a couple more of those.
I don't like that.
That's our problem.
There's actual going to be people saying those exact words and meaning it this week.
Yeah, I mean it's delusion. I mean you kind of heard Venables last week, and
I
didn't
don't
think
care what Venables says anymore. I'm
No.
seriously not going to listen or read any of his post conferences anymore. I seriously don't care what that dude says.
No, what I was saying is he presented a reality that didn't feel, in tune with what happened.
God, dude, just oh my god,
Yeah.
I'm trying to be better, Jameson. Just buy
And to be
in.
fair,
You have
Jamison,
to buy into him. Oh my god, what?
it's okay.
What?
It's okay. And to be fair, I know you brought up he said he wasn't going to fire anyone mid-season. Yeah, you're not going to say that and then not fire anybody. You just fire them.
I just don't care what he says anymore. This dude just doesn't say anything meaningful. Whenever they ask him for injury reports of oh, he says a bunch of words for about 5 minutes and doesn't actually give us anything about moving forward if he's going to play.
Yeah.
I understand that might be strategy, but at the same time, he's doing that same shit in the locker room, talking to people whenever he's trying to get people riled up. I'm sorry. I can't get over this. It's just been something deep down that I think I repressed about Venables, and I kind of just wanted to believe the good things, and now it's starting to come out.
What were your thoughts on Danny Stutzman's comments about the fans? I believe the quote was, if you I can't remember. The people that were upset, are you even real fans at the end of the day? And I'm just like, I don't know.
I don't even know if I saw it, Bobby.
Yeah. Let me see.
Let me find it.
Yeah.
I don't know, Bobby. And Danny said, I love the fans, but if they can't stay with us, were they really fans to begin with?
I mean,
I think
yes.
he's spitting there a little bit, to tell you the truth. I think true fans should stick with you through thick and thin. But the reality of it is that you can't have true fans in your corner at all times to be a successful program. So you've got to have casuals. Casuals is what make it.
Yeah, and I mean, I think there's a difference between being upset and giving up on the team. I'm upset, but I'm still going to show up here every Sunday, do our podcast. I'm going to go to the home games. I might be upset, yeah, but I'm going to be there. I'm going to show up for them. I just.
But go to the home games. Let's just come out and say it, Bobby.
Oh yeah,
we canceled our Airbnbs in all of our travel because we were going to be in Ole Miss next week, and we canceled that. That doesn't take away from us being a true fan. That is an away game. That does not count.
Yeah, I didn't. Yeah, being a true fan does not also require you to drive 6 hours. No, more like 7, 8 there and back, and then spend hundreds of dollars on tickets at an Airbnb to watch you get smoked.
$440 for me.
Whoa,
I ain't gonna pay $440 to go watch that.
Yeah, no, I don't blame you. That's just not. It's not worth our time. It's not worth our time. Yeah, we'll see it on TV and be true fans from there. But I don't know. Do we want to make anything on the defense? I thought it was pretty good.
It's fine. It's what we've seen this year. Obviously they're not perfect. We get that.
Yeah.
I feel like Danny put up a good effort. He did a lot of things. I thought, who else did I really like? Grayson Halton had another great game. I feel like he was creating a lot of problems in the middle of the defense, obviously, with his 1.5 sacks. Dominic Williams was doing a lot of things. Peyton Bowen was doing a lot of things. They had some lapses here and there. We could kind of nitpick it for the most part, but I'm pretty happy with them. For what they were given.
Yeah. They only had one. I think South Carolina only had one touchdown. From their own side. From a drive that started on their own side of the field. So I think there's that. That's a plus. I if you had to nitpick anything, I thought the offsides on 4th and 5 was brutal.
Oh my God! I'm about to throw something. One of my 3 TVs were about to get smashed, Bob.
That's why you have 3 of them.
Yeah, and I thought what I thought was interesting of how many freshmen we played. Yeah, and then Lucas talked about Eli Bowen looking great as a freshman. We played a lot of freshmen in this game, and do I think we're rotating too much? Maybe, but at the same time, like, who cares? Like, screw it. The person who probably I would give the game ball if we're gonna do that this podcast, which we're probably not going to. Who looked really damn good and surprised the shit out of me was Trace Ford. Man, that dude had it. That dude had it.
That was a really good performance from Ford because he's had some, ups and downs, of course, but that was a strong performance. That was definitely
He was coming off the ball
Ford.
fast. He was getting first steps off the ball, causing a lot of problems in the backfield. I was really like, this is the type of dude that was like, you were starting to see flashes like what he was doing at Oklahoma State. Because, we didn't see that the past year. We didn't see that. But this game, I was like, damn, like that was good. And we look at like the box score, Bobby. If I wanted to like close my eyes and be like, what did I think South Carolina's offense looked like? I close my eyes. I think Lenore Sellers scrambled, got out of things, extended the play, made a couple of good plays. Wish they had turned the ball over. And Rocket Sanders kind of roughed us up a little bit. Rocket Sanders, like, averaged 2 yards a carry on 15 carries. Like, all in all, like, once again, and I'm being more mature because I wasn't last week in talking about Texas. I didn't want to talk or scrutinize this defense at all. Good for the defense. They were given a tough situation being down that quickly, and I think they played well.
Yeah, agreed. What did you talk a little bit about special teams? Great performance from Luke Elzinga, but what do you think about his quarterbacking play? The fake punt back of your own end zone. Quite possibly one of the dumber things I saw this game, but there were some really dumb things.
Wrong. That is not dumb. That just didn't work. I hate it when people say fake punts, they're dumb, they're egregious, they're absolutely horrible. For us, do you really think so, Bobby? With this offense, do you feel like we needed at least a little something of momentum? I understand we would have converted that. We'd have been still in like the 30 or 40 yard line of our own field. And the chances of us punting again is also very high. I get that. But if it converts, we start looking at it like, damn, look at that. Good for us. Like, yay. Oh, that was a really good play call. Really good thinking. It is just these things like, I'm going to be neutral on it. It didn't work. It sucked. Okay, that's fine.
Yeah, but my thing is, I think timing-wise, it wasn't good. I feel like I get it. Like you need a spark or whatever. I felt like where the ball was on the field was bad. I feel like the best thing we can do, punt it deep and let the defense make something happen. Because I feel like
we've been doing that all the time, and we can't do anything.
Yeah, but
I think try to spice things up, change it up. I'm happy we did that. It failed, so be it.
Yeah, that's fine.
We can have differing opinions on it. That's completely fine. That's just always been my opinion on those fake punts. Was it a risky position to do it in? But the riskier position it is, you think would be a higher chance to work because you can catch the defense off guard. You're saying that Jacoby Johnson missed the block. I don't know if he could make the block because if it is a pass play, he can't block downfield. So, like, maybe it was just a good defensive play, right? I saw him go up and then he like looked around like he missed the block that caused that defender to come up and make the tackle on Bauer Sharp. Oh my God, Bauer Sharp. I said a lot of bad things about Bauer Sharp on Saturday. But like, I don't know if he could have blocked him. I think the rules still stand. Like if it's a pass, you can't block downfield. So he could have picked him a little bit, but Jacoby knew like, hey, I can't go do that because that's a penalty. So
yeah, if it got called back for a penalty, that would have been. Yeah,
I mean, better than turning it over on downs, but I'm sure that's a tough situation where the defender makes a break on it. He sees that it's going to be a fake, and he goes after it. And Jacoby's not in a position where he can get him picked off well, to where that's tough. So I'm not going to damn him for that. And good for Jacoby not being the freaking offense side of the ball. What a bone! This coaching staff's just a bunch of boneheads. Just people can't make a freaking decision. Let's ship Jacoby Johnson over to the offensive end and take his development away from him. All of his confidence. All this baloney benching Jackson Arnold in the Tennessee game too soon. All offensive linemen. I've said this like 5-6 times this freaking podcast. I'm so sick and tired of how quick a triggers we have. It's just ridiculous.
It just feels like nobody has a plan. Like nobody knows.
Hey, that's exactly right. That's exactly right.
And I'm worried that this move to fire Littrell might be just the exact same thing. I feel like the hiring of Littrell was a move with no plan, because it's like, our OC left. Let's get this guy. It's convenient. They just do stuff. They don't think about it. They just react. They just do things. And yeah, Littrell was not good. Get him out of there. But to replace him with Joe John Finley does nothing. It's lackluster.
It's nil. It's nil or negative, Bobby. But I'm going to say it. This is a decision that is made because of the fans. Seth Littrell is getting slaughtered in front of everybody to help the fans have a higher view of this Oklahoma football team. It is not to make this team any better. It's not. We just want to make people happy, because there's a lot of angry people right now. And I guarantee you the Board of Regents, the donors, etc., are not happy. We got to start playing the game and be a businessman.
Yeah. Well, I called for blood in the middle of the game. I tweeted it out, and we got our blood. But is it going to actually be a move that helps OU's offense going forward? I don't know. I have seen nothing out of Joe John Finley to think so. If anything, go full measure. Go full measure and put in this, I don't know, bald Duke guy, because that's at least something different.
Nothing can fix us, Bobby. We keep on trying to find it. We are that of human beings that like to find something to fix. We're trying to find the correct tool to use here, Bobby. There's just nothing. There's nothing for it. It's just a job that is broken.
Yeah, just gotta move forward.
And that's why, honestly, and people are mad about putting Joe John Finley in this position. To be honest with you, we already know that he's just a lame duck. Anyways, and the season's a lame duck. This offense is a lame duck. Why don't we just keep a lame duck in charge for now? And then he's going to do really bad, and then we can fire him at the end of the season, and that'll make the fans happy, just like we did with Seth Littrell. He's not going to keep his job, right?
Right.
If he does, it's going to get a big demotion. The reason this is just putting him up on a little pedestal for him to eventually get hung.
Yeah. No, he is, like you said, a lame duck. He's just he's just there because you need somebody else in. That's it.
And we don't, and if we're not gonna, it's always gonna be an interim. It's gonna be someone on the staff. And so the Duke guy, Johnson, whatever, you could put him out there, but it's just not gonna make any difference. We know that we're gonna not change too much with Joe John. Screw it. Just screw it.
Yeah. Just gotta let it rip at this point. But all right. Any final thoughts on the game? I think we covered it pretty good on the decision. I think we both agree that it's just kind of is what it is. How about Davis Bevel getting a cameo? Just ultimate salt in the wound, man. That was, you gotta be kidding me.
Him getting clobbered and sacked felt a little nice, though. It gave me a good chuckle.
Maybe our old friend Shane Beamer was like, "Hey, we'll give you."
Shane Beamer on he had some shine to him this game, Bobby. Like his halftime and first quarter interviews, he is cocky, and he knew what was going on, and he felt good. That man was on cloud 9. And usually you can be like, "Oh, why are you being cocky? You probably should hold back. Something might happen." He knew he was good. He knew he was fine. He knew his OU offense was going to take away that lead. He was loving it, and good for him. I'm happy for him.
Yeah, going for 2, all of that. I'm cool with it. Put us in a grave. We deserve it. This is not a game for people with weak constitutions. You gotta slam the door when you can. But yeah.
All right. One last thing before we move forward talking about Ole Miss, and this might be a good transition. Put your money where your mouth is, Bobby. Over under 5.5 wins for this Sooner football team. And you can just leave it at over under. You don't have to give the analysis. You can just say over under.
Look, Boomer Bob coming in here. I think we steal one. I think they find a way to steal one.
I'm sorry, Bobby. I set you up for this. I knew what you were gonna do. I already knew the answer.
Here's my thing. No, because here's my thing is this was bad, but it was like these periods of time, both this and Texas, were there. You just have stretches of just absolute calamity. You did it. You've done this throughout the season, and if you could just not, I know that sounds easier said than done, but if they could just be consistent, I think they can find a way to steal one of these. I don't know. Maybe that's a little Pollyannish.
The way Missouri's looking, you never know, honestly. So I mean, I see there's a chance. I'm still going under, unfortunately. We can try to nitpick other teams. We try to nitpick South Carolina's offense, Bobby. Like we also got to look internally. I understand we just did that for an hour, but still,
Yeah.
I don't feel like we're making a bowl this year.
Yeah, which would be, just a true embarrassment. Last time that happened, we were 3 years old. It was 1998. Like, come on, that's just abysmal, truly abysmal. All right, let's move on. Ole Miss, fresh off of a bye week, so they had time to rest and watch this one. Sooners are, I believe, as it opened, an 18.5-point dog on the road in Oxford. Just like talk about just an awful spot to be in. Lane Kiffin, who, under fire after what has been really a disappointing start to the year, and you get a bye week and just a team that is a total, Ole Miss might consider firing Lane Kiffin if they lose this one. I'm gonna go ahead and say that. Like, this is the Rebels need to find a way to win this. Like, it could not be teed up any more perfectly for them to have a get back game in the SEC. They got to win this ball game. If you take your third loss to this Oklahoma team off a bye week, that is as unacceptable of a loss as it gets. And I hate that I'm saying that, but it just kind of is the truth right now with where Ole Miss is and with where OU is.
Yeah. You would hope that like OU can pull off some Sooner magic here and do something like that. Ole Miss is known to be a kind of hot and cold team, especially whenever they like go into the game kind of not adequately prepared for their opponent, which I feel like we saw versus Kentucky. But I still feel like Oklahoma as a new team in the SEC, even if we've been doing poorly this year, I still think that they're going to take us pretty seriously in preparation, since it's not the same old team they see every year. And like, we played Kentucky last year and the year before, and we aren't scared of them. Like A, B, C. Oklahoma's still new. We're going to have a target on our back. People are coming out and show out. So I don't expect them just to lay an egg just because they don't feel that we are a competent football team.
Yeah. And even though they have 2 losses, they've only been down, I believe, a combined 14 minutes.
That LSU game, they should have won that. You replay that game 10 times, they win at 7 or 8. It was an utter collapse of what they did in that second half.
Yeah, it's a Kentucky loss. The last time they were in Oxford, actually, that's really the worst one by far. I don't know. It's puzzling. It's puzzling how they are a 2-loss team, and they're OU set up to be in a really bad spot right now. So we'll see. Sooners are 1-0 on the road, though, Jamison. They have not lost. They have not lost in the icy whites yet. So maybe there's hope. Maybe we just need to leave Norman/Dallas.
Yeah, I'm really curious. Kind of like keys to the game moving forward is Princely and Manmulen going to be healthy for Ole Miss? I'm trying to figure out if there's any new updates on that. I haven't seen anything quite yet. I know he was out in their last game, but I would like there to be no chance that he plays, because defensive ends have absolutely screwed us, and he's the type of guy that could just wreck us. Walter Nolan in the middle of it, you talk about a guy who's a big boy and he's got some skill. Like, he could really do some damage. Ole Miss, we talk about their offense all the time. They still got some pretty good guys on the defense, and it's a team that could give us some troubles if they come out healthy.
Yeah, no doubt. It's gonna be Could be a tough one. Also, the line's 20.5. I was wrong.
Oh, it's went up.
I think it depends on what book you're looking at, but ESPN opened at 20.5 apparently. So, well, that's going to be a brutal one. But
how many points do you think we score, Bobby? I'll give you an over under, let's say 16.5.
16.5 is what you're setting it at. That's very generous. I'm going under.
Okay, so I'm starting high and I'm going down because I figured that you wouldn't pick over straight off the bat. So it's just part of the game. What about 13.5?
Under.
Okay, 10.5.
It's a hook. I think they score 10.
Okay, all right, gotcha. Yeah, you can't just straight up give you the good line first.
What is Joe John as JoJo? It's going to be bad, man. Like that. I feel like I don't want to say we downgraded, but I think we downgraded somehow. It's a half measure.
Who cares? It's like seriously, like our job, I guess this really isn't a job. Our hobby in this podcast is to talk and like scrutinize Oklahoma football and the difference between Joe John Finley and what we'll see from Seth Littrell or what we saw from Seth Littrell. I just don't know. I don't care. I don't think we're going to see anything. It's just going to be bad. You keep on saying, could it get worse? I don't know how much worse it can get, Bobby.
Yeah. And because I don't know. I think mood wise, throwing out, because look, people are right. You can't just hire someone now. I guess you could put in Johns, but like, it does NoHo Hank really?
Who cares? Who cares? God.
That's why I kind of think we should have just kept Littrell. Maybe. I don't know.
No,
I think
we needed this.
There's no right answer.
The fans needed something. The fans needed his head on a stick. Unfortunately, it was going to happen either way, Bobby. Let's just do it now. Make the fans happier, and then we'll do more of our firings in the offseason. Who knows? Some people might do a mutual agreement of stepping away.
Maybe it's just like you take one, like just remove one, like Joe John gets fired next week, and then you put someone else up, and then they get fired, and you just
that sounds about right. What this Oklahoma coaching staff would want to do, and this, just keep on flip flopping, snip snap, snip snap. Let's just keep Joe John to the end of the season, then we can make our decision then.
By Missouri, we bring back Joe John, or we bring back Seth Littrell. He's back. Never mind. We're sorry, Seth. You're better than Joe John.
Oh God, that's scary.
Stop. He would do it.
All right. I mean, honestly, with Seth Littrell and the way he did this season, he probably isn't coaching again. Like, to be honest.
Not at this level. But all right. I think that's all we got for this week's episode of the Scooter Pod. Let's wrap this thing up. What do you say, Jamison?
Please.
Yes. All right. Thank you all so much for watching. If this is your first time, make sure to like this video, subscribe to our channel. We'll be back on Wednesday to pick some games on the weekend spread. Then we'll be recapping Ole Miss next Sunday. So until then, Boomer Sooner, everybody. Keep the faith.